Well, good morning. Thursday morning, and I'm getting this week's colouring template and colour palette challenge sorted for the Angela Porter's Colouring Book Fans Facebook group, which is a bit of a mouthful, but they're such a lovely group of people, I really don't mind. And this week I've got a mandala tile kind of thing going on here, and I'm sharing a favourite colour palette of mine, which are these lovely tealy greens to a nice yellowy green and some coppery browns. And of course you can use tones and shades, tones, highlights, lowlights. And I think I'll allow them one extra colour because it can be a real challenge to stick to such a limited colour if you're going to use them as tones, as I'm going to. So this is the template, and I'm going to do some colouring this morning as I talk on here, doing it digitally, as you'll be able to see. You can see my my particular setup for at the moment, where all the tools and things are for Clip Studio Paint Pro. I prefer things on my right hand side because otherwise it's such an effort to go to the left hand side because I'm right handed. So everything's over here, and I'm still getting used to where things are and where I can find tools and which tools I want to use for different things. There's so many. And I find the faff with changing colour a bit of a faff, but we'll see how we go. I've got some space under here so I can add colours that I want to choose if I'm going to use shades or tones of a particular colour. It's not a problem, and we'll see how it goes. So with a mandala, because this essentially is a mandala, it's just put in a square box, I like to start at the middle. So let me select that. I'm going to use a chalk or chalk pastel brush, and I think I might set the texture density for just a bit higher than I have done, and let's see how this works. You'll get to see how quick and easy things are with the symmetry tool. These purple lines are just guidelines really, and what I'm doing here is I'm just laying down some of this colour because I've got it normal, so it's applying as it would if it was chalk on paper, and I don't have the opacity dark, so it's like adding a little, then a little more, then a little more, and then I can go with a darker colour and just perhaps add some of that there. Now that's much more of a bluey green, and it's much more of a pure colour, I think, perhaps. So that's quite nice. And then I want to add at the tips just a little bit of that light darker colour, just to give that kind of shadow. It almost looks like it's bending over, so I think I'll go down to a sizing brush, quite a size, and I just want to, oh gosh, that was wrong because I took the highlight off, the selection off. I think I want it even smaller than that, perhaps. And now I'm going to give quite a shadow around the edges to help with that feeling of it bending. Just a little bit. There we go. Just helps to bring it out just a tad. And what I might do as well, you will see me zoom in and out quite often with this. And I get used to it because it's what I do on a daily basis. I'm going to use the highlights. I've got soft light there, and I just want to add, again, I'll go down to a fairly small size. Let's add just a bit of that soft light just inside, just as a bit of a perhaps added highlight there. Little dimple perhaps, but go back to the chalk because I will play with things until I get them as I like. I'm not very keen on bits of that, but that's okay because what I can do is just go back there and there's perhaps a bit more of that there, just to keep that highlight where I want it. Let's have a look and see how that looks. I'll do, I think. Hard to see. You'll do for now. So let's go on to the next area. The nicest thing about working digitally is that I do get to change my mind if I want to easily. And I could just reselect this particular central area and go, right, I'm not happy with the way that looks up against everything else. Or I could just roll with it, and I'm tempted to just roll with it generally and see how it ends up. And I'm not going to colour all of this in today. I never do for the templates. And here I can see where this has missed out some bits, so I may have to adjust. It's because the edge of the pen isn't always black. It can be shades of grey. I can change that, but then you get a very, well, it's a zigzaggy line when I go in, but that's a function of the digital art, I think. There we go. So that helps with that. You can see that as I add more, I lose the chalky texture. But I'm working from dark to light here. I think this is in artistic terms, you know, it's working. Oh gosh, I didn't want that. I've got to put the opacity back down. Opacity is how dense the colour goes down, so I've decreased the opacity so that this won't obliterate the colour underneath, and I can add layers until I get tone. Obviously you get to a point where you can't add any more of that colour because it's saturated with it, so that's when I'll go to a lighter tone again. Need to go down a size 2 in brush, use that one, and then just some highlights there. I've added quite a lot of that because I'm using quite a largish brush for the size, so just go back to a darker colour, add that one. And why I put the dark layer down first, I do not know. So there we are. So I'll chat as I work because there's always little things to tell. I got my car back yesterday, and after a meditation class I went to online in the evening, Binky and I went out for a little drive to celebrate our reunited after more than 24 hours. Yes, I know, it's sad, but true. And it was lovely to be out and to know that my car is fine and well, and not to have that squeaky fan belt, and just to enjoy driving. I always have really enjoyed driving right from the time I started, and even now I just so love going out just for the sheer joy and pleasure of driving, for no other reason than because I can do it. And I smile, and last night I really did smile. It's so hard to express how joyful I am when I just drive for the hell of it. I had no intention of stopping anywhere for a walk, and to be honest with you, the weather wasn't all that good. It was getting quite really rainy from time to time, and I think I put my coat back in the boot because I had to clear everything out for it to go for a service. So shopping bags and my coat and a shawly scarf thing went in the car because I keep things like that in there, and why not? My car, I can do with as I wish. And where did I go? Well, fairly local. I think I did about a 30-40 mile round trip, but I did actually go into a supermarket. Yes, a supermarket. Shock, horror. I did. Very quiet one, a small one. It's a chain, you know, a brand called the Co-op over here in the UK. And I really do love the Co-op. I really do. And it was quiet because it was about, I don't know, 8 o'clock at night, over 8 o'clock. So, you know, shops tend to be quieter then, generally. And these little ones in small villages tend to be, or smallish villages on the outskirts of a town. And that meant it was really lovely to go there. And I really felt fine about it. It's my second time this week, and I popped there because I really didn't have a big enough list of things I wanted from Tesco's, another big supermarket chain in the UK, very big, because I just didn't. But there were some little odds and ends I wanted that I couldn't get through my Able and Cold delivery, and fresh foods that ran out. So things like cottage cheese, which I love, and I wanted some corn, sort of like sandwich slices and things like that, because I'd run out of them because they're fresh. And although corn tends to have quite a long life on it, the fresh sort of like deli slices or whatever they call them, they do last, but I'd eaten it all. So smoky ham flavour or smoky ham style corn, which I rather like in a sandwich or with boiled potatoes and veggies and some mustard. It's just one of those little pleasures in life. And I've often said about the only thing that might have the capacity to entice me back from vegetarianism would be smoked bacon. It did in the past, not anymore, because there are really good alternatives. I like the frozen corn, smoky bacon. It makes a good sandwich. And it's great. It can actually make a really nice veggie carbonara sauce. So I'm talking about vegetarian food here. But yeah, so odds and ends like that. And I actually walked around every aisle, and I picked up a couple of other things that I knew I'd need sooner rather than later. And again, that I could have had in a click and collect direct, delivery. But while I was there, I picked it up. So I must probably save myself money by going there. And, so I got home and I finally fed myself. I'd had dinner fairly late because it was a funny old day between cars and doing arty stuff, and I sorted out an extended warranty on Binky because Binky will be mine after 3 years in just a few days' time. And if something goes wrong out of warranty with things that would have normally been current, sort of like things that really shouldn't go wrong, I suppose I should say, but can do and can be big, expensive repairs, then the insurance for warranty for not a lot a month just gives me that peace of mind financially as well. So it doesn't cover things that are wear and tear. I was really surprised actually, talking about my car, because the fan belt was replaced under warranty. So I guess they're expected to last longer than 3 years. So that was good. And obviously not again, because it won't be covered under the new policy, but because it's considered a consumable and fair wear and tear. But that's fine. I can live with that. There we are. That actually is okay. I think I might need to darken these a bit. So I want to darken my shadow. Oh gosh, that's a bit big. Let's make that a bit smaller. Yeah, I want to darken the shadows here and here, because that will help things stand out that little bit, I think. Yeah, and what I'm going to do is not multiply, go back to normal. I'm just going to extend this light area down there, perhaps a little bit here as well, just to bring some perhaps contrast in. That's okay, that's nice, because I'm going to go to the knot noise. So that was a good thing for me to do yesterday. You know, bit by bit, I'll get used to being out there, as it were. So there we are. That's this so far. So the next areas I'm going to do are these. So let's get my chalk. There we are. And I think I will take green over these. And with this one, I'm going to approach this one a bit differently, because I'm going to decide that on the edge that's towards the middle, I'm going to make that the highlighted area. So the bit that would have bright lights. So I'm just going to pop that in, to start with. Have a look. That'll be okay. And then I'm going to reduce the opacity so I can layer over this. And this is fine because I'll be going back and adding stuff. I think it's just how I work. I'm sure I could streamline this, but there's a pleasure in doing this for its sake as well, seeing the colours blend. And it's also about me getting used to these particular tools, or this particular package, and the way that these different brushes and tools work, and how I can tweak them to make them a bit more mine. But I do want to go down in size, because I do want to put I do work logically with shadow from time to time, where I think, right, okay, these bits here are over, so there would be a natural shadow under here. So let's put that in. Shadow on the edge, and again I'm going to use the multiply to really darken that shadow without adding black, but keeping plenty of colour there. I think that's quite nice. If I go back to normal, I can just add some of this over, just to tone the shadow down, because I don't like it quite so stark. I like it to be there as a sort of like, yeah, we're in shadow, but not there as in, yeah, we're totally in complete darkness. That's quite nice. And then just to add there, so that's quite nice. I'm happy-ish with that. Highlight that. Size have I got? This probably will go to that one, because I will add quite a bright highlight along the edge. There we go. So let's zoom out and have a look. I like that. I prefer that to the middle bits. I may go back in, maybe not today, but at another time, and redo the central flowers. I'm not happy with those, but that looks okay. Now then, I want to do these, and I'm going to do that because these look like bands that are going over. They could be cutouts where you're looking inside, obviously. It depends where you play with highlight and shadow on them. Very much so. Okay, now I do want to do these green, but I want to make it a bit different perhaps, because even though I've got a small number of colours, I can still use different tones and intensities, perhaps the same colour. And what I'm going to do here for this is I'm going to use the multiply function to darken this, but without going to that deep, deep dark black. to go down a brush size so I can just get this around the very edge. So I really do want that dark there. And I'm going to go right down a size so I can get some shadow here so it looks like it's going under. I will vary as I work the different brush settings because it's what I like to do. And it also means that I do end up having variation around my design. Like this one, it's not as blue, it's more of a greeny colour than the others, but it's rather nice even then. So look, you do that and that there. Perhaps multiply this. Yeah, that intensifies that shadow just that little bit more, which I quite like. Go back to this, I'll use the highlight. Like so, and here as well. Because again, I'm going to be consistent with where the highlights are. This one, it's more in the centre there, and I think I'm going to have to go and put some colour back in here, which is easy enough to do. There we go. And perhaps here a little bit, just there. So let's have a look. How does that look? Same kinds of colours but different. It's got that feeling because it's not so dense dark around the edge. This seems much further back, as if we look, you know, three-dimensionally. Looks much further back than that section I've just done. So that's quite nice. Okie dokes. Next one. How long have I been doing this? It does tell me. Oh, 22 minutes. You can see it does take me quite a while, regardless. So we have a look. I'll do these next because that will be the next logical step to do them. I am going to use brown. See, when you change the size of the brush, the texture underneath changes as well. And it looks very pixely because I'm really zoomed in here. But from a distance, it won't. And if I use it in the right way, it adds sort of like interest to the colour, so it's not all completely smooth and mechanical looking, you know, too perfect. Perfectly imperfect is what I'm aiming for. Okay, and again, it's going to be a case of I want to make, let's go down to about there, these edges, the highlighted edges, so get some of that there. And some of that there. Like so. And I'm going, this colour is quite nice, but I am going to just add a bit more colour to it. That's nicer. Because when it's that grey, it's got that washed out. It's got grey tones on it. It's just got that washed out feeling. It's a bit insipid. I prefer a bit of a stronger colour. So, you know, I'm tweaking things just that little bit. Right, that needs to go darker because the original was that's a bit better. So let's have a look. That's better. And even though I'm doing this as I'm going along, you know, on the fly as it were, it'll work out. People won't really notice because I'm varying how I colour everything in. But I much prefer those richer tones, and I'm going to do the same with this. I'm going to make that just a little bit lighter. These are colours that I've added. I want a hint of grey in that, you know, in that one. These are colours that I've added to the palette based on the others, so they're not the original ones, but I don't make people use exactly the same colour when they, you know, because it depends what materials they've got. I just use it as a suggestion. It's a suggestion of what you could use and what you could do. You know, if you want to add a colour, fine. I'm not going to beat you up about it. your choice, creativity. If you decide to ignore them during the not take part in the challenge, that is fine as well. But it's that elegance of limits, the creativity that limits bring, is the point of the challenge, really, is to push people's creativity just that little bit further. There we go. Now then, that doesn't look like it'll be apparent because you know how small these areas are, but trust me when I say this will look rather lovely when I've done. That's great. Oh, I did a multiply there, I wanted normal again. Didn't want to darken those, to highlight them. And I'll even go to this one so I can really make that lighter. Keeping some colour there, but just really lightening it up. And I want to go back to this one because I want to use the multiply and one of these darker colours just to add that shadow. I don't want to go to the darkest colour because it adds black more than, this adds some black, but it doesn't make it that intensely black. Nice. When I add the colours, I try to do the shadows. I try to do it in a way that takes account of the shape that I'm trying to get, the curve or dip, curve out, curve in, wax on, wax off. So you can see that gives the illusion of lumps and bumps here. I definitely want to redo those central flowers. I'm going to keep going with this. So yesterday was the day I had my car back. I did that. So yesterday I managed to get loads of stuff done, really, in my own weird and wonderful way, and yet not a lot done. I enjoyed doing the art and getting this sorted. I redrew the design this morning because when I looked at it in the cold hard light today, I thought, no, I need to tweak that. So I did, and for the better, I think. Okay, let me just get the opacity down. I've got a nice smallish size, so I'm deciding that I'm going to have the lighter edges here. It's just a guide for me, just helps me to see that it's where I want it to be. So it is going to be adding darker colours a little bit at a time. As I said, I don't mind if it goes over the darkest tone because I will lighten things up again or darken things down. So we've done that. Let's get that one in. That's great. Next shade down. Just to add a bit more intensity, and then this one is the one that really brings that intensity down, and that one I'll add just a little bit of to really darken things up. There we go. So my plans for today is to get this sorted and the template up on most of my social media. This video I'll put on YouTube for anybody who wants to watch and listen and see how I approach colouring a template like this, and one with a limited colour palette. And I'm going to get my backside into gear and I'm going to take myself out for that walk that I've been talking about for days and still haven't done. So these are definitely going to be green. I'm going to put the central colour green in. Let's choose a bigger brush so that it's quicker and easier to fill in. Let's have a look. I need a small brush again there. So yeah, so this is what I do. I haven't done any warm-up art this morning. This is my warm-up art, I suppose. But I'm sort of looking forward to autosave going on there. I am looking forward to going out for a walk. I've got that little field sketchbook, the little A6 sketchbook, that I'm more than likely going to take with me because I can, because there may be things I'll want to see. I'm going to just go to my local cemetery, and who knows, I may actually go for a little drive or visit somewhere. I don't know, because it really is not that easy for me to go anywhere. I don't know if you can see over here my colour palette, but as I'm making colours that I want to use again, I'm adding them underneath the one that I've altered. Just had a couple of rows of boxes ready to go, so I can just drop them in. This is a palette I'm using for a different piece of work. In fact, there are many palettes here. This is another palette I have, which I'm going to clean and tidy up because I can't remember what on earth. Well, I do remember what it was for. Again, I've got like the oranges here I've used quite a lot, and others, but this one, my custom palette, to differentiate it from the other one, works really quite nicely. So if I go back to this one, I'm going to turn this one into a multiply, just so I can get that darker edge, particularly on this one. And then I want to highlight that, and I think I'm going to put just a bit of shadow around the edge there, perhaps around the edge at the top. Go to this one and we'll go to the highlight, because that'd be great, like that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a teeny tiny brush and I'm going to put a little bit of highlight just down there, so it's like reflected highlight. Let me just take a teeny tiny brush so I can just perhaps downplay that one just a bit. That works okay. I think so. I think I'm going to need to do some colour around that. And that just sort of like helps to separate it, I think, from the one that's beneath. It does. There we are. So that's everything so far. I don't really have anything else to witter on about. It's art. I love it, and it's quite different. It's the same, but it's different when I work digitally. There's a freedom with colour that I don't often feel necessarily when I work with traditional colours. And the way that I can work with colour is in such a way that it's something I just don't get. It's just something I don't feel I'm able to achieve or to do easily with traditional colours. Now this is interesting because I'm going to treat these as if they're one shape, a bit like I did the other one, but not quite. The other one I didn't. There we go, that's nicer. Let's get some dark, really dark in there. Of course up there we'll need some dark, and down there because I really want some shadow. Going to put the real highlights in, and here I think I'm going to have highlights like that. Actually, let me have a look. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work nicely. So, and also it's the case where I've got all the colours you could ever imagine available to me. And yet, because of that, I've discovered or rediscovered how much I prefer limited palettes, limited colour palettes to work with, because they take away that extreme choice. It seems a contradiction, doesn't it? But it isn't, and I don't think it is anyway. Why are those? I'm wondering if I've got this completely centred, you know, because I had to fiddle and fidaddle with it. I ended up perhaps putting the yeah, it does help actually if I don't have it quite so opaque. I was wondering why I couldn't blend all of this quite as easily as I normally would. Colours, why I'm getting such distinct edges between them. It's because I was working at 100% opacity. So where was I? Yeah, so it seems like a contradiction. I love having all the colours available to me, but then the best way I can do things, or the best way I've done things, is to add them. You know, work with limited colour palettes. Tell you what I do need to do. That single line there just looks that little bit peculiar compared to all the others. So I'm just going to add one in. And because I haven't sorted out the actual template yet, save that, then I can do that. I can do this quite easily. Right, I'll lock that template so I don't accidentally colour in the line art. Yeah, I'm known to do that. And then these are going to be choices. I could make it brown, or I could go for like this one and do lighter colour. I think I'll go like for that one and do like a much lighter colour. So okay, let's the opacities there. Smaller brush. I think for this one I used multiply, didn't I? I'm sure I did, because it intensifies colours without necessarily making them black. There we go. Yeah, because that's a greener colour, so yeah, okay. Let's have a look. Just want to go out there. That's nice. It's nice. And for that one is the one I want to multiply. Like so. I'm talking out loud about what I'm doing, and it's not really that interesting, I guess. It's because perhaps this is so new to me, and whereas I say new to me, digital art is new to me, and I have to stop and think about what I'm doing. Whereas if I'm drawing with pens, it is a little bit different, I suppose, in that I don't have to think quite so much. What I'm going to do here is I'm really going to make, I'm trying to put highlights in places I want to put this as if there's a lot of light coming out of that one. So that's looking okay. Next job is to do these. Let's go back to normal. Let's go to opaque. Pop the middle colour down, I think. That'll be nice, because I can work from there then. So again, it's going to be a case of down here is going to be dark, and up here is going to be light. And I just need to change that opacity and the size of the brush so I can get in there with these different tones. which is easy now. That'll be fine. And then just really light there. Take that one and make that really light. I'll use this one and make this much darker. As I go, I tend to work out exactly what it is I'm doing and I speed up. But there we are. So that's 40 minutes of me wittering on moaning about art, my car, and how much I love digital art. I prefer to draw on pen on paper. Than, you know, I'm happy to draw on the screen, but I prefer to draw it out first so I get proportion and scale relative to the size of the drawing correct, or the print. So I printed this out, so I know that this isn't too tiny a space. Spaces aren't too small to colour in. And using that limited colour palette here today, I've got two colours that I'm using. Roughly, I've got blue, there's a yellowy green and mostly bluey greens, you know, teals, I suppose, and coppery tones. But I've actually added some to my palette here, which is fine for people to do from their pencils, gel pens, markers, whatever. It's just a starting point, but try to stay within these particular colour families, I suppose. And even with just two colours, it can bring out the pattern. So I'm not happy with that flower in the middle. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I think I'll make one of them coppery. And these coppery colours and sort of like verdigris, bluies, greens and greens, that kind of weathered copper look, it's just one of my favourites combinations. It's there in the wild and, you know, out there in the world, not the wild necessarily, and it just works. So I hope you've enjoyed that, an insight into how my mind works when I'm using digital art, which is still learning it and thinking my way through it and trying to work out what all of these different blending modes in here are. You know, things like a normal one, so it's more like a pastel. Multiplying seems to intensify the colour but makes it quite bright. And it's just trying to work out which ones I like and how they work together, you know, work. And it's going to take me a while because, you know, I'd need many, many hours to play with everything. But I can see that these teardrops I've just done here, I need to go back and intensify them. So I am going to do some work before I post this, and the template first on social media. So I want to get everything together. So I'm just going to say thank you for watching, listening. Thank you if you've left any comments, any thumbs up. I hope this helps you if you're taking part in the colour challenge, whether it's with this template or another one of my templates this month. It runs from today to the last Wednesday of the month. There's no prizes. It's just for fun, to challenge yourself, to set limits that you have to work within and see how you get on. And it's really nice as well to see how different people use the same palette in different ways, even with the same template. No two are the same, and that is amazing. And I'd just like to say thank you once again. So take care. Oh, and last thing, I'm not sponsored, I'm not paid. These are just things that I use. And like Clip Studio Paint, bought it for myself. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't think they even know I exist, other than they've had money off me. And but it's my program of choice because I really don't get on with Photoshops. Perhaps I would now, but I reckon this will do everything I need it to do, and that's, you know, that's fine by me. So take care and enjoy the rest of your day, evening, week, whenever. Bye bye.